Zetland apartments abandoned. Let's have a look. Good morning everyone, I'm Florian Heiser and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. My stein of coffee, ready for another day at work, and I thought once again we'd look at another apartment building that's been abandoned, but this one was the Zetland apartments and it happened several years ago. And before we read the article here, you can just see the image that they've got here, and let's jump straight to Google Earth and we'll have a look. And this here it is, the Zetland apartments. We'll zoom out, it's just near the Sydney CBD, not too far away. There's Mascot Towers, and over here we've got our other one. So I'm going to start mapping all of these just for record, because I mean it's just happening more and more. And I mean, let's zoom in. Hang on, I will just grab Google Street View. This is just, every time I do this Street View, I just am amazed. And you can have a look here. Here's a photo. And that was from the 9th of 2016 of the apartments. Bit of weathering here. You know, they've got a nice structure around there. Bit of weathering around here, but not too bad. And they're nice little loft-style townhouse apartments. They would have cost a pretty penny, I think, right in the middle of Sydney, facing the park. They wouldn't have gone cheap. They would not have gone cheap. Now if we go here a bit further, I saw one image where I could see some of the construction. Oh no, it's not coming up. But you can get an understanding of these apartments here. So I think they look quite nice, to be honest. Just the idea of it. You know, modern contemporary townhouses, I'd call them. Modern contemporary townhouses in Sydney. And they've been abandoned. So, Sydney Zetland apartments abandoned in secret evacuation over severe defects. Once again, another one over severe defects. So I'll just zoom in here to make sure you can see it all, and let's read through this article. An inner Sydney apartment building remains abandoned 8 months after its occupants were evacuated over water and fire safety defects, in revelations expected to deliver a fresh blow to confidence in the city's building standards. Another one. I mean, just looking at it out here, I mean, it looks, you know, the complexity of the building. It's, you know, it's only a 2-story building. It's only a 3-story building. You know, it's only a 3-story building. If you look here, 1, 2, 3. So it's a walk-up. Doesn't even need lifts. So the complexity of it. You know, look there. Here we go. This is the image I wanted to show you, where we can see just the construction. Ooh, wait, damn it! I need to get the exact right one on the street. There. I'm not zooming in, but you can see here. We can get an understanding of the construction. So you've got the slab running along here and just columns running up. She ain't that complicated, guys. It's not that complicated a building. You'd hope. You would hope. And they've got, you know, the metal cladding there. They've got a frame wrapping around. I wonder if they originally were going to have growies on there. Maybe. I don't know. But aesthetically, this gives you a bit of an understanding of what's going on there. When you think about the issues that have arisen, the defects that have arisen. So let's jump back here. So, the emergence of a third residential unit building with severe defects will intensify pressure on the state government to address concerns about building standards. Yes, well, I know people are making the same calls again and again, and I'm just going to repeat what I am saying over and over again, that it's a systematic issue with the way these buildings are procured. The traditional policemen of the industry no longer have the capacity to act with their traditional authority, because we're procuring it differently. We're going under design and construct method more and more and more with these developments. Or even the certifiers are hired by the builders or the developers. You know, they don't have the freedom to apply the authority that they used to, because then you lose all the work because you're not a team player, you know, bending the rules like everyone else. So cracking forced the evacuation of Sydney Olympic Park Opal Towers on Christmas Eve. Oh, we're aware of that. And Mascot Towers on Burke Street last month. Less than a month ago, the minister responsible for the building industry, Kevin Anderson, said there was no great cause for alarm about building quality, with no need to rush into reforms. Well, okay, you've been sitting on a report, the Shergold report, for how long? For years. For years. So, you know, the fact that you don't want to rush into reforms, Kevin, is well known. Okay, you don't even need to say it. You don't need to even say it. It's well known. The state government is currently consulting over a clutch of proposed reforms as part of the Building Stronger Foundation package, which would include a new registration scheme for building designers and the appointment of a building commissioner to regulate the industry. I mean, okay, great. So the building designers organization are going to get what they want. Their president will be happy, but will it actually provide? Is this a building design issue? Is it a design issue? I mean, the building looks designed. Were the documentation, was it provided? What happened on Opal? It wasn't to do with the design, was it? No, it was to do with Rio put in correctly. It was construction issues. It was manufacturing issues. Probably supervision issues. It's concerning. The controversy surrounding the latest building evacuation also raises public disclosure questions in regards to serious defects. Yes. Well, if they're doing that, there should be signage on the building on the outside informing the public. In response to questions, a City of Sydney spokesperson said the council became aware of the evacuation in late 2018 and confirmed it remains empty. So it's still empty. It's still empty. You've got to feel sorry for these people that have spent a fortune on these metal boxes on a concrete slab. Okay, they're paying for literally boxes in the air in the middle of the city. They'd pay a fortune for those ones. Anyone knows the Sydney market can let me know how much those cost. I probably should have looked it up, but that might have depressed me too much, to be honest, guys, seeing how much money people are spending on stuff like that. A City of Sydney officer inspected the building in February of 2019 and found the building to be vacant with extensive and severe water damage, the spokesman said. The water damage caused the failure of internal fire-rated construction throughout several apartments. See, there you go. There you go. So, was it a roofing issue? Was it a roofing issue? I'm looking over up here at the roof design. So they're bringing light in behind to kind of create a lovely feeling. You know, there could be a water issue there. That shouldn't be an issue. You'd hope they'd lapped it right, but it doesn't take much. That's the thing. It only takes a little trickle of water just to build up over time to cause damage to these things. And remember, the way they're building now, it's just plaster and pine and a bit of light gauge steel, where you get a bit of water damage on some hardwood. It's going to take a bit longer to eat through. But as I'm noticing on some of my decks I need to replace, it's happening here. So, the fire-rated construction is required to separate individual apartments and common areas during a fire. Yes. Now, that's to do with the walling systems that are... No, not that one, I imagine, but this one here. They're the walling systems between apartments and common areas. So, say if one of these units, say this guy here caught on fire, it would provide fire separation from him to the neighbouring one and from the corridor, so that people could run out and get away. But if it was one in the middle too, you wouldn't want the fire to be getting out of that apartment into the floor plan, because then you couldn't run out. Your escape route would be compromised because of that wall or the fire coming out of that apartment. So it's a very serious issue. It is a life safety issue. And all of these rules have come into place, sadly, because of people's deaths through history. Whenever there was a big fire disaster, legislation changed, and that worked its way into this legislation. But you can see here, something as simple as water getting into a building can compromise that system. That's why it's a really important part of designing these multi-res apartments is the people who install these firewalls and the penetrations through them. There's all these processes that they need to fill and the products they need to put around it to protect the integrity of this wall, because you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with people's lives, your family's lives. That's what you're dealing with. And I mean, we're probably dealing with here with bankers from Deutsche Bank. Yeah, maybe. I hope not. I really hope not. You wouldn't want to be hammered twice. So, a fire exit sign was dangling from the ceiling on the site of the abandoned apartments on Tuesday. How can, at least it's a compliant sign. It's an updated sign. They can't use the word exit anymore. It has to be the running man. How can a building like this, I mean, look where it is. Let's just look where it is again. Okay. I mean, come on, I'll turn on places. You know, what's this? Joynton Park. Here. What do we have here? You know, you've got... Okay, how far is it from the CBD? It's not that far. It's not that far. This is virtually, you know, right in the heart of Sydney. These aren't cheap apartments that are going to go here. Let's look at some of the neighbouring. How can a building like this, how can it possibly remain empty for that long? How is that possible? How can you let that happen? I mean, look at this. Look at the stuff you've got here. This is a nice Sydney suburb, I'm assuming. I'm seeing no graffiti, no rubbish anywhere. It's looking clean. I mean, look at the park. It's well maintained. And, you know, and look, it's looking good. It's looking like a good part of Sydney. It's probably looking like a part of Sydney I couldn't afford to live in. I could probably walk through it. But, and then it's just, think about it. It's just been left abandoned now. Behind locked glass doors, an emergency exit sign could be seen dangling from ceiling. Electrical wiring was exposed. Walls and ceiling were damaged. And a walkway was missing several planks. Timber boards and piles of unopened mail were strewn in the foyer. Owners Corporation Network Chair Stephen Goddard said there'd been a conspiracy of silence around building defects for years due to confidential legal settlements and owners' fears of damage to property values. That's a problem. That really is a big issue. It just shows you this conspiracy of silence. And we're hearing about it more and more. We're hearing about it more and more. Because people are worried that their properties are going to go down. Well, guys, they're going to go down. All our properties are going to go down, okay? Tough times are coming, so you can, you know, put it out in the open now. Don't worry about it. And, okay, I can understand why they want confidentiality for these things, but if it's in the public interest, the Zetland apartments, known as the Garland Lofts, were built 10 years ago, funny that, as part of a multi-stage development in the precinct. The developer was a company called Garland 204 Proprietary Limited. Oh, that's obviously a company that's got a well-established reputation and is going to be around for a very long time. Oh, hang on. Let me bring up. There we go. So, oh boy. Two directors of which were Philip Bartlett and Janet Pennington. Mr. Bartlett was approached for comment. It is understood there's been ongoing litigation between multiple parties over defects in the building, and the Herald does not seek to attribute responsibility to any particular party. Well, of course not. You're not doing it, but there you go. Who were the builders as well? Images of the Zetland apartments before serious defects emerged. So these were beautiful apartments, guys. These were beautiful apartments. Don't tell me you wouldn't want to live in them. The homes were marketed as New York-style lofts, featuring large glass windows and combining designer flair with industrial chic. There's also a small shopping centre going in over the road, so once you're here, you won't need to go anywhere else, the promotional material said. Zetland resident Carolyn Hammond was at a cafe across the road on the day the Gadigal building was evacuated. She said some of the owners were in tears at the news they would be forced to leave their homes. Bang, 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 everyone move out, she said, adding she was concerned about quality of building standards in the area generally. They're creating the ghetto of the future if they're not careful. Yes, well, there you go, they are. How much do people pay for these things? The City of Sydney spokesman said its staff had liaised with the building owners who would engage consultants to address the defects and make the apartments habitable again. Following our inspection, an order was issued to ensure the building was kept in a safe condition while vacant. Well, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. You don't want these things to deteriorate. If people are not living in them, they will deteriorate. You don't want You know, you don't want no one being in there, potential for a fire. It's a health and safety issue if it becomes dilapidated. Wow, you don't want homeless people to start squatting in there. You don't want druggies to start going in there and using it. Seen that happen here in Brisbane. The old buildings. Following our inspection, yep, okay, we'll continue to monitor the situation. A spokesman for Fairtrade New South Wales said they had not received any complaints in relation to the apartment complex. Okay. I wonder why not. I wonder why they have not received any complaints in regards to this complex. So here's another one just to watch and keep an eye on to see what's happening. I mean, it's shocking. It really is shocking that it's happening again. Happening again. But a waterproofing issue that can go through to, damage the fire rating system between these apartments. And, well, you can't have people living there. That's the thing. If the fire rating between these apartments is compromised, it can cause a loss of life. So they have to evacuate the building. They have to do it. So it's perfectly fine in the actions they took. Perfectly fine in the actions they took to ensure the safety of the occupants, to ensure the safety of the building. But that's where even small things can have much bigger implications, and people don't appreciate that. You'd hope that the people doing the work would appreciate it as well. Let's have a look here. Actually, we'll just jump back to Google, and I'll just exit ground view, and we will look at, so just to get an idea of the roof structure. I mean, you can see here, it's not a very complicated roof structure. There's a bit of stuff going on back here, but still, I've seen worse. I've seen worse in Queenslanders. So, guys, let me know what you think. Another one, right? Close to Sydney. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to see my daily updates, and I'll let you know about any other buildings that we hear about these issues. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.